Hi, I almost forgot about my YouTube video today, and I promised I would do YouTube video every single day for 365 days, but I've already missed about probably 5 days worth of videos since the time I started. Not that it really matters. I know that you're not counting, but I'm counting, and I kind of wanted to stick to the 365 days just to do that for myself, to speak about things that are relevant. And what I've learned already in this process, it's probably day, I don't know, maybe 45, maybe 50, probably more like 50. I've learned that, well, we know perfection doesn't exist. So I said I'm going to do 365 days without fail. I'm going to do my best, and I am doing my best, but there have been some days that I just didn't have it in me and wasn't going to do it. There were days when I was really tired, doing a lot of work at a retreat that was really intense with energy healing, and it was from morning till night. And yes, I could have been exhausted and gone and done the video, but it's all about priority, right? Like, what do we choose to prioritize? And what's the ultimate outcome? Sometimes we get so caught up in what we want the process to look like, but we lose sight that the outcome is what really matters to us. And for me, the outcome is delivering quality videos to you that talk about, like I said, relevant things that are important to me, important to the clients I work with, and important to the collective. So the outcome is that I'm delivering value as often as I can in a high quality way. Not just to stick to the daily YouTube video just because I said I'm going to do that. So it's the outcome that matters the most to us. And the process or the how of how we get there isn't always as important. The priority is the intention and the ultimate outcome. So that is not what I'm making the video about today. Today I wanted to talk about, I took some notes here because this is a formula that my client and I worked on together, and it's based in a couple things when you have fear. So a lot of people have fear and they don't realize it's fear. A lot of people mistake being prepared, being in control, being skeptical, maybe even saying I'm not fearful, I'm just being realistic. A lot of these things are actually fear. So it's really important for me to name the core emotion. When we're having an emotion, we might say we're irritated, or we might say we're agitated or bothered or annoyed or just flustered. And what's the root emotion? Well, it's anger. So I like to name the core emotion so we can really get to the bottom of what we're feeling and why we're feeling it, and make room for that emotion and honor it instead of calling it something that it's like a secondary emotion. We want to name the primary emotion. So when it comes to fear, things like doubt, things like worry, things like preparedness, procrastination, and control are just some really common secondary names of emotions that at the root you have fear. So let's call it fear. So I work with a lot of people who experience fear regularly. There's other people who experience sadness regularly, experience anger more regularly. We all have our base emotions that are, you could say, a little more negative. Not saying that the emotion itself is bad, but that they put us in situations that we don't really want to be in. So that's what I mean by negative. I'm not saying that having anger or having sadness or having fear are negative things, because they're just emotions. And remember, emotions are neutral, but how we feel in those emotions after a long period of time, or the actions we take from those emotions, or the behaviors that we find ourselves in when we have unhealthy coping strategies for those emotions, can be a negative experience. So that's what I mean by these negative emotions: anger, fear, sadness. Each person will find themselves in one of those more than the others. So a lot of people that I know and work with experience fear quite a lot, and anger too, but we're talking about fear today. So again, are you someone who has a lot of fear inside, but in your mind, maybe you didn't ever think of it as fear? Maybe it's really hard for you to say, well, I don't really feel afraid, but yes, I do like to have everything planned, and I don't like to go into something without knowing. I don't like taking risks. I just like to be prepared. It might be hard at first to admit or see that that is actually fear. And again, there's nothing wrong with it, but there's only a few core emotions here. We're talking about sadness, happiness, anger, and fear. So when we say we feel a certain way, it's going to boil down to one of those four things. Guilt and shame, I would say, is coming from sadness, right? So we have a lot of disguise words for these core emotions. Are you someone who deals with fear or feels fear at a deep level? Maybe you don't recognize it. Maybe that word doesn't sit well with you, but let's see how this video feels for you. So the problem with fear is it can limit us from taking action. It can prevent us from noticing our true potential. It can stop us from owning our gifts and owning our capabilities. It can have us doubt ourselves and second guess so much that we are caught in analysis paralysis. It can take us into the mind and away from the heart, because we're over analytical. When we're in fear, we are unable to think creatively or imaginatively. We're unable to receive higher wisdom. When we're in fear, it really shuts down the creative thinking part of the brain. So fear has a lot of negative repercussions when we operate from that place for too long, especially if the fear goes unchecked. If we just believe our fear, if we believe the voice in our heads that says, oh, no, you're not ready, you shouldn't do that, or do you really think that that's what you should do? Maybe you should ask someone else. It takes us away from our own inner authority. It takes us away from believing in ourselves and really listening to that courageous side of us that we all have. So we don't want to be stuck in fear. So I have a 4-step process that can help you move out of fear, move into action, come from a place of thinking and feeling courageously and from your strength. We want to be able to move into our strength and courage to get things done, to make it happen, to believe in ourselves, to lead others, to really share ourselves with the world and not hide behind the fear. So when you hear the voice of fear, first of all, we want to acknowledge that it's fear. We want to say, okay, this doubt that's creeping in is actually fear. So we want to acknowledge when fear is at play. Remember, fear manifests in many ways other than fear, other than what you would say is fear. Fear can manifest as being overly prepared, just trying to have all the answers, all the bases covered. A lot of people who don't recognize their fear at first can say, I'm not afraid, I'm just prepared. I just like being prepared. Well, that's a form of control. And what's control coming from? Coming from fear of loss of control, coming from fear of being insignificant, coming from fear of making a mistake, coming from fear of others blaming them. So we want to be real with what's really behind these manifestations. It's fear. So step 1 is acknowledge the fear. Start to recognize when you see it operating in your life, when you hear the voice of doubt, fear, skepticism, worry, procrastination, that voice, you want to call it out and say, wait, hold on. I know that this overly protective voice in my head that's telling me maybe I should second guess this, third guess this, fourth guess this, get a bunch of other people's opinions before I make a move, before I listen to my own inner wisdom and truth. That voice is fear. So first, acknowledge it. Just call it out and get comfortable with the fact that there is fear operating underneath that. And there's nothing wrong with it. Like I said, we all have our main emotions that we tend to overdo. Mine used to be sadness. I've done a lot of work, but I'm still in sadness way more easily than I am in fear and especially anger. I'm working on getting more comfortable with my anger. Fear's gotten better. I'm a little better about recognizing, okay, that's fear. I'm afraid. I'm afraid of XYZ. Just calling it out. Anger is probably a less accessible emotion for me, which isn't good. I want to feel my anger. I want to identify when anger is appropriate. So we all want to, have these base emotions, fear, anger, sadness, and happiness, and treat them equally because they're just emotions. What's wrong is when we unconsciously act from those emotions and we don't even realize that those emotions are driving us. So number one, have the awareness of fear in your life. Name it. That's step one. Step two is to perform a reality check. Okay, so let's say this voice in your head called fear is saying, oh, no. Don't do that yet. You don't know for sure yet. Don't take that risk. Why don't you ask a couple different people? And you're acting too fast. You need to really think about this. And if you have the tendency and the reputation to procrastinate and second guess and self-doubt, then this is why we're working on it, right? So that's where you want to do the reality check. The reality check will be something like this. Okay, wait. It's like you're having a discussion with fear. How do you know that I'm about to make the wrong decision? How many times have I made decisions like this and they went fine? How do I know that everybody else will have the right answer but I don't? What makes you think that I don't have the answer? Why do I have to double check with all these other people and take authority away from myself? That's a reality check. Another reality check is, let's say the voice in your head that we've named fear is saying something like, I wouldn't trust that person really likes you as much as you think, or as much as they show. They're probably saying things behind your back that are, not as nice, but like you want them to like you, but how do you know they really do? They probably don't. They're probably hanging out with other people and not telling you, stuff like that, right? So the reality check would be something like this. Okay, wait, I know this is fear. What evidence do I have that they actually don't like me? Do I have evidence that shows me they do like me? Yes. What about when they did this? That's proof they like me. What about when they did this? Okay, that's proof they like me. What about when they did this? Okay, they said, and they said the words and they had the actions that prove this person has feelings for me or likes me or is my friend, whatever. So the reality check is basically you questioning fear instead of just believing it. And the reality check is also you providing proof and evidence of exactly what you know, not based on assumptions, not based on stories, but on true things that you have experienced firsthand. It is questioning fear for the first time and saying, you know what, I don't know if I believe this fear right now. I'm not going to buy into it that easily this time. I'm gonna use some points of evidence to go against that voice of fear. And that's gonna help you dismantle the fear. It's gonna help you disempower the fear. And it's gonna help you disassociate your mind, your truth, from the voice of fear. So now we have separation. We've talked about disassociation in other videos. It's good to disassociate from that inner critic, that inner voice, and question it. And when you can build that separation, it's like you're saying, I am not my fear. My fear is something outside of me, it's something separate, and I can choose not to listen to that fear. That fear is no longer me. My actions do not have to be in line with fear. So, second step is reality check. The third step is to create calm within. How do we do that? I'm always talking about breathing. We need to get yourself out of the sympathetic state, which is your nervous system is in fight, flight, or freeze mode. And we need to bring it into the parasympathetic state where you can think, where you are calm, where you are able to rest and digest even thoughts, not just food, but digest new ideas. So in order to get out of that freeze, fight, or what am I trying to say? Freeze, fight, it's because I'm saying it out of order. Flight, fight, or freeze. There's another, fawn is another one. So there's actually four F's. We're used to hearing fight, flight, freeze. Fight means you're ready to combat, which is a fear response. I'm going to attack out of fear, right? That's one response that we can take when we're in fear. Another response we can take is to fly, like fight it, run away, just avoid it, shut down. Shut ourselves down. That's coming from fear. Freeze is like analysis paralysis. I don't know what to do. I can't even think about it. I'm just going to stop. I can't think through this anymore, or I can't take an action. I am paralyzed. And then fawn is to kind of hide under someone else for protection. That's fawn. So we don't hear about fawn so much, but that's a very common behavior, that's a common response to being afraid, is finding the protection of others. So all four of those F's are a response to fear. So when you're in that fear response, you are in the sympathetic state, meaning you're in survival mode. You are not in a place where you can breathe and think thoroughly. It's like if you're being chased by a predator, you're going to be in the sympathetic state. That is a fear state. When you are able to graze and rest and soak up the sun and take nice relaxing breaths and exhale, and you feel at peace and you feel like you can connect to wisdom and you feel courageous, that's coming from the parasympathetic state. Our bodies are responding to stimulus. So in order to get your body and your brain and then your emotions to be more in line with the parasympathetic, the restful, clear thinking place that we need to be in to get out of fear, we have to change our breathing. So step 3 is finding that calm within. Taking a slow, deep breath through the nose and exhaling through the mouth or the nose. I've heard both. And doing that for a few cycles. So I would say take 3 slow, deep breaths through the nose. Get as much air to go into your belly as possible. Remember, we've talked about belly breathing. So breathing into the diaphragm and not lifting the chest. So I'm going to try to keep my shoulders down. And then I can fill up the chest. And then I can exhale. You can do this laying on your back or anywhere you want. But 3 cycles of breathing through the nose. Even imagining white, cool air coming through, or like a cool blue light or a golden light, some kind of calming color. So we don't want like red air coming in, like something that feels soothing would be a nice image or visualization to assist. And with every exhale, you could imagine that you're exhaling doubt. You're exhaling fear. You're exhaling caution. Maybe caution's not the right, caution's good, but you're exhaling the thing that is causing the suffering. So step 3 is about creating calm within. You could even start by saying words like peace, calm, joy, relaxation, confidence, courage, strength, as you inhale and exhale. So we want to take enough time to feel our bodies shift from that fear-based place to that calm place. And if you notice, I actually feel like it shifts me a little bit. I wasn't really afraid, but I feel like I was kind of amped up. And maybe that's coming from fear. Maybe, I have to run through this and acknowledge it. Was that fear when I started the video? Maybe I was in fear. So that breathing will shift you into a much calmer, clearer state. And that's step 3, calm within. Creating calm within is going to start with how you breathe. You have to change your breathing. You have to think about breathing through the nose, filling up the diaphragm, and exhaling slow, doing that for a couple repetitions. I've told you before about box breathing. You could build the corners of the box or the sides of the box, doing a 4-count inhale, a 4-count exhale, a 4-count inhale, and a 4-count exhale. And you take your time at each corner. So you want to do it together, just do it with me, okay? So unless you're like driving and you need to focus, but through the nose, hold, exhale, hold, and we're going to inhale going down, hold, so we just built one box, and you could build 3 boxes, right? Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. Do what makes sense for you, but the point is to feel the shift in your body and feel your brain get clearer as you do that. Step 4. So step 4 is new body language. So now that you're in this calm state, you can change and step into strength and courage by using your body. I've had clients have a lot of success with this, so I'm going to teach you right now. So if you're standing, you want to get in the position of, let me show you, of strength and courage. Now that you've calmed your nervous system. Okay, so I'm standing. I've calmed my nervous system, step 3. Now I'm about to do step 4. My shoulders are back. My feet are wide. You can't see it, but my legs are out. I have my hands on my hips and my chin is up. Now this feels like I can step into courage easily. Okay, another one that I've had a client do, this was intuitive for her. I didn't tell her, I just said, do what feels right. So we did the breathing, we got her into a peaceful, solid feeling place, and then she was clear in her mind, and I said, what do you feel like? Do what feels right. She had her hands open and her head up, her eyes closed with a smile, a gentle smile. Now that's kind of like a trusting stance. It's showing I trust what's going to happen. I'm okay. I have faith. I'm not stressing out about controlling all this. I don't need all the answers. I feel good within. I'm going to open my hands up and just tilt my head back My hands are wide. My stance is wide. So this is where we use the science of physiology, changing our bodies to embrace an emotion that we want to feel. So first, I'll go through the steps real quick. We did acknowledge the fear and recognize how fear is manifesting as something else. Second, do the reality check. That's you telling fear for the first time, I don't know if I buy that, because I have this evidence, this evidence, this evidence, this evidence that I am knowledgeable enough. I do know what I'm doing. That person does like me. I do belong. I'm not an imposter. I actually do have talent. Okay, so you are doing the reality check. Step 3 is creating the calm within. Changing the breathing, getting from sympathetic, the fear response of fight, flight, freeze, or fawn, changing that, shifting that to the parasympathetic, the state of rest and digest, where we can think clearly and we can receive higher wisdom. We can come from a place of courage and strength when we change our breathing from the stress breathing to the calm breathing. And you can say words like peace, relaxation, courage, all of those things, clarity. Okay, and you can do the visualization as well. To create calm within, you can see a soothing color enter your body, and you can see the doubt or fear, whatever you want to call it, leave the body. Then step 4 is where you can really embrace and embody these new higher vibration emotions like courage, strength. Strength is more coming from the mind. Is that right? Well, one of them's an emotion and one of them's more a thought in the mind. But courage and strength, we need them emotionally and mentally. You can embody something like clarity. You can embody peace. You can embody trust. You can embody confidence when you change your body language. So that is step 4, is to get into the body language of literally a superhero. That's what I think. So it's like a superhero. What is your superhero stance? I do this a lot. I rub my hands together a lot too. I'm like, oh yeah, okay. So it's like whatever feels right for you. You don't have to, you can try all of them, but it's a powerful stance. It's a stance that says, I am confident, I believe in myself, and I know things will be okay. Trust, courage, strength. That's a 4-step process for dismantling fear. That is it. I hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.